One of the most common questions I still get from men about TRT is whether it's going to interfere with their fertility. It is not in a permanent way, not in a lasting way, where it's just like a birth control pill. Women can take birth control pills for years, not ovulate, not get pregnant, and then stop their birth control and get pregnant a month later. With men, you can go on TRT, it shuts off your sperm production, but it does take 2.5 to 3 months for you to really have no sperm, and you have to know that there's that lag time. If you want to make sure you're infertile, you do a semen analysis, like a post-vasectomy analysis to make sure there's no sperm, and then you're good to go. But whenever you stop your TRT, 2.5 months to 3 months later, you will have a normal sperm count again. And if you want to have children while you're still on your TRT, you can use HCG, do a subcutaneous injection of 500 units every other day, or 250 every day, probably works the same. But I know 500 every other day works fine because I have 2 kids to prove it, that this absolutely works. And you will resume normal sperm production while you are still on your TRT. I don't know why so many self-proclaimed and so-called experts in the area of health and fitness and men's fitness out there still tell people that testosterone will interfere with your fertility in some kind of lasting way. It's like, oh, don't go on it when you're young because you won't be able to have kids. That is bullshit, and it just scares people away from doing the very thing that they need most. It is a completely fixable thing. It's the best form of birth control ever. Imagine a woman being able to take a hormonal birth control that made them bigger, faster, stronger, happier, hornier, healthier, and live longer. Sign me up. It is the best form of birth control that there is. And for these experts and doctors to be out there with no evidence for what they're saying, telling people that testosterone interferes with their fertility is malpractice, okay? It's just terrible advice. It's steering people away from something that they really would benefit from. The Chinese did a big study with 1,000 guys for about a 5-year period, and they clearly demonstrated that this was 99% effective as male birth control, and that it was completely reversible when they stopped at the end of the study. So let's quit talking about this. It's not an issue. It's completely something you can work around, and it's actually something that we could use to our advantage if we understood this issue correctly.